10 youth sentenced for murder. A countdown that changed juvenile justice forever. Childhood is often seen as a time of innocence, a stage of life defined by learning, mistakes, and second chances. But history shows us something far more disturbing. In rare and tragic cases, children have committed crimes so severe that courts were forced to treat them not as minors, but as murderers. These cases don't just shock the public, they challenge the very foundation of justice. Can a child truly understand the consequences of taking a life? Should youth protect someone from adult punishment? Or are their crimes so extreme that age no longer matters? Today, we're counting down 10 real cases where youths were sentenced for murder, cases that reshaped laws, divided nations, and continue to haunt legal systems around the world. And stay till the end. Because number 1 is a case so disturbing, it permanently changed how an entire country treats juvenile crime. And Alex and Derek King, ages 12 and 13, USA. In Florida, brothers Alex and Derek King shocked the nation when they killed their father while he slept.
So you are currently 13 years old?
Yes, ma'am.
The case took a disturbing turn when the boys revealed they had suffered years of physical and sexual abuse, living in constant fear with no safe place to turn. They claimed the act was about survival, not revenge. Initially sentenced to long prison terms as adults, their case sparked debate over how trauma affects a child's decision-making. Expert testimony later led to reduced sentences, highlighting the complex question: when a child commits murder to escape abuse, should the law focus only on the crime or also on their broken childhood? For Nathaniel Brazil, age 13, USA, in 2000, 13-year-old Nathaniel Brazil walked into his Florida middle school with a handgun and fatally shot his English teacher. The crime shocked the nation, intensifying fears about school shootings and raising urgent questions about safety and access to firearms. At 13, many argued he was too young for severe punishment, but the court ruled the act was intentional and that he understood his actions. Brazil was convicted of second-degree murder and sentenced to 28 years in prison, showing that youth does not always protect against adult-level consequences. His case remains a key example in debates about juvenile justice and school safety. 8. Paul Gingerich, age 12, USA. Paul Gingerich was only 12 years old when he helped plan a robbery with another child, a crime that tragically ended in murder. Despite his young age, Paul was tried as an adult and sentenced to 25 years in prison, sparking widespread public outrage. Many critics argued that treating a child like an adult ignored basic facts about brain development, emotional immaturity, and poor decision-making at such a young age. After years of appeals and growing public pressure, his sentence was reduced. The U.S. case became a turning point and directly influenced legal reforms that limited automatic adult prosecution of minors in several U.S. states. 7. Jordan Brown, age 11, USA. At just 11 years old, Jordan Brown was accused of killing his father's pregnant fiancée, a crime that shocked the public. Despite his age, he was charged as an adult and faced life without parole. During the investigation, Jordan was questioned without proper legal protection, and his confession became the key evidence against him. Years later, courts ruled the confession was improperly obtained, overturning his conviction and leading to his release. The case highlighted the dangers of interrogating children without safeguards and how easily fear and pressure can distort their words. Jordan Brown's story remains a cautionary example of how fragile a child's future can be. 6. Eric Smith, age 13, USA. In 1993, Eric Smith murdered a 4-year-old boy in New York, a crime that horrified the Frazier. He was sentenced to life in prison, and for decades, every request for parole was denied. The public viewed the case as one of pure brutality. However, over time, scientific research began to change how courts understood juvenile offenders. Advances in neuroscience showed that adolescent brains are still developing, especially in areas related to impulse control and decision-making. In 2022, after nearly 30 years behind bars, Eric Smith was finally granted parole. His case became a landmark example of how modern science is influencing and reshaping juvenile justice laws. 5. Craig Price, age 13, USA. Craig Price committed multiple murders before he even turned 15, making his case one of the most disturbing in juvenile crime history. Because of strict limits within the juvenile justice system, authorities could only detain him until he reached adulthood, regardless of the severity of his crimes. At the time, The system was designed to focus on rehabilitation rather than long-term punishment. However, Price's behavior behind bars raised serious concerns. Even while incarcerated, he carried out additional violent attacks against other inmates and staff. Once he aged out of the juvenile system, these actions led to new adult convictions and extended prison time. His case exposed a frightening gap in the justice system. It showed that some offenders may pose an extreme danger at a very young age, yet the juvenile system lacks the tools to contain them safely, while adult punishment laws hesitate to apply. Craig Price's story continues to fuel debate about how justice systems should handle the most violent juvenile offenders. 4. Mary Bell, age 11, United Kingdom. In 1968, Mary Bell became one of the youngest convicted killers in British history, a case that deeply shocked the United Kingdom. She was only 11 years old when she was found responsible for the deaths of 2 young boys. The crimes were disturbing, but the court faced a difficult decision because of her age. Instead of giving her a fixed prison sentence, the judge ordered that she be detained at Her Majesty's pleasure. This meant her release would depend on rehabilitation, rather than a set number of years. Mary Bell spent 12 years in custody before being released as an adult. To protect her safety and allow her a chance at a normal life, she was granted lifelong anonymity. Her case remains one of the most controversial in UK legal history. It continues to divide opinion, raising powerful questions about whether justice should focus on punishment or the possibility of rehabilitation when the offender is still a child. 3. Lionel Tate, age 12, USA. Lionel Tate was only 12 years old when a 6-year-old girl died while in his care, a case that quickly drew international attention. Prosecutors argued that the child's injuries showed extreme force and could not have been accidental. The defense, however, claimed the death occurred during rough wrestling-style play inspired by professional wrestling, insisting there was no intent to kill. Despite his young age, Lionel Tate was tried as an adult and sentenced to life without parole, a punishment usually reserved for the most serious adult offenders. The decision sparked massive outrage around the world, with critics arguing that a child could not fully understand the consequences of such actions. Years later, after legal challenges and changing views on juvenile sentencing, his sentence was overturned. However, the years Tate spent behind bars could never be undone. His case became a major turning point, influencing laws that now limit life without parole sentences for minors. 2. Robert Thompson, age 10, United Kingdom. In 1993, 10-year-old Robert Thompson and his friend John Venables shocked the world by abducting and murdering toddler James Bulger in Liverpool. The crime stunned the UK, as few could imagine children committing such extreme violence. Thompson was sentenced to indefinite detention, to remain in custody until deemed rehabilitated and no longer a threat. He was eventually released under a new identity to protect him from public backlash. The case permanently changed how the UK handles juvenile murder trials, highlighting the delicate balance between punishment and rehabilitation. It remains one of the most disturbing examples of juvenile crime, raising lasting questions about justice and accountability. 1. John Venables, age 10, United Kingdom. John Venables committed the same horrific crime as Robert Thompson, abducting and murdering toddler James Bulger when he was just 10 years old. Unlike Thompson, however, Venables' story did not end with his release. As an adult, he repeatedly violated the strict conditions of his parole, committing offenses that led to multiple returns to prison. Despite the protections of anonymity and several opportunities for rehabilitation, Venables continued to reoffend, demonstrating a pattern of behavior that alarmed both the public and the justice system. His case reignited a terrifying and unresolved question. Are there some offenders who are too dangerous to ever be safely reintegrated into society, no matter how young they were when they committed their crimes? Today, Venables remains incarcerated, and his story remains one of the most controversial examples of juvenile crime in history. It continues to fuel debate about rehabilitation, public safety, and the limits of juvenile justice, raising difficult questions that societies around the world still struggle to answer. From murder to violent assaults, these acts shock the public, challenge legal systems, and raise profound moral questions. At the same time, the offenders remain children. Their brains still developing, their understanding of consequences limited, and their capacity for change far greater than that of adults. This duality creates a tension that courts, lawmakers, and society struggle to resolve. As science, psychology, and law continue to evolve, so too does our understanding of juvenile crime. Research in neuroscience shows that adolescent brains are not fully developed, particularly in areas that govern impulse control, decision-making, and moral reasoning. Psychology emphasizes the potential for rehabilitation, even after extreme actions. Courts are left grappling with one central question. Is justice primarily about punishment, or should it also focus on the possibility of redemption? And if redemption is possible, where should the line be drawn between rehabilitation and protecting society? These questions remain unresolved, reflecting the ongoing struggle to balance compassion with justice in cases involving young offenders.